So now I think we can go to request.h, request.c. We have a connection and a request string. Nope, we don't have a request string. What we have is, yeah, just the connection, which has the file descriptor, which we can use to read data. But we need to be careful here. Since this function is going to consume the file descriptor and like read all of its data, we can't try to read it again because you can only consume it once. I mean, we could have the buffer reader as part of the HTTP connection, just so we don't accidentally create it multiple times, but I'm not going to worry about the code too much. I think this is fine for now. Conflicting types. Okay. Oops. I accidentally pressed tab. Actually, I think it's good to have it there, because we're only going to parse the status line and the headers, and we should leave the buffer reader in case, you know, like in case we want to parse the body, which we're not going to always do. So we need to keep track of the position that we're in. I guess, yeah, let's remove this file descriptor and have an fd buffer reader. And where's my create HTTP connection function? It's here. Reader. And we can do this now. Very cool. Very, very cool. So now I think what we can do, did we add an arena here? We do. We did, I mean. I think we should create it here. After accepted connection. And then we can do not fully implemented, sure. Nope, that is not it. It's going to be parse HTTP request, which takes in the connection and returns. It takes a pointer and returns an HTTP request. And this is basically going to be the entire request object, which has everything. So now here's the fun part. Nope, we're gonna parse these. So, nope. Parse status line. No, Copilot is completely wrong here. So what we need to do is, we need to fd buffer reader read until. We pass in connection reader. Destination is going to be, okay. What max? No, we have Claude here, I think, yeah. What? Do I need to initialize it every time I open it, like from scratch? Does it already know the context of my project? Migrate installer, output style, resume conversation. Does your, let's just ask it, does your Claude CLI read the claude.md file automatically in my project, or do I need to run a command every time I open it? Okay, cool, that's cool. What's the max length that I should impose on the status line in my HTTP request parser? Come on, come on. I hope it's not something like that's huge. At least 8,000 octets. 8 kilobytes. What's an octet? Isn't an octet a byte? Grouping of 8 bits. Why do they say octet and not just byte? Okay, let's just do 8 kilobytes then. We're not going to allocate it on the stack. We're going to do status line. Let's do raw status line. We're going to do connection, arena. We're going to do arena alloc, connection arena. Size is going to be... Okay, another good question. Where do I put these limits in my C files? Should I, for example, I have a request.h and request.c. Should I put the limits in a macro in the header file or the C file? It really likes to think about like very simple things. Yeah, it should be in the C file. Since we're not going to use it outside. Yeah, we have a problem here. We're not taking into consideration the delimiter. Is that going to be part? It's basically part of the limit right now, which I think is fine. But maybe in the future, if we want to remove, improve that and not have the delimiter as part of the limit, is that we basically have to allocate a buffer here to store a buffer basically of length. We need a buffer that has a size of the length of the delimiter, and it's basically gonna hold characters temporarily just while we do the checking if we have reached the end of the delimiter, and if not, I guess just so we don't overcopy, if you know what I mean. I mean, I could explain this in a better way, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. But for now, I think it's fine. We're not going to worry about it. So I guess the realistic limit here is going to be 8192 minus the length of the delimiter, which is this. Yeah, Sterling. It's going to be this. The real limit is... because the buffer reader copies the delimiter to but doesn't count it. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Destination. Let's just do a new int 80 so we don't have to cast it here. This is a pointer. Max status line length. And we're gonna have bytes read. Can I do this? Oh, I can. Sick. Panic. Yeah, but we're not gonna panic. We need to change the signature of this because it currently doesn't have a way to return errors. Where's ChatGPT? I didn't copy it. I want to change the signature of this function so that it always it also has a way to return a parsing error. Return error code. Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking as well. So you can have this. We can have HTTP request. Yeah, out request. I love how Copilot and ChatGPT like both suggest the same argument name. I think it's because Copilot uses GPT 4 or 5 under the hood. Invalid method. We're not gonna have that. Bad header. Incomplete. We're just gonna have a generic error for now. Status line. Too long. Yeah. It's pretty good. Pretty descriptive. Header. Too long. Parse status. That's more like it. So now we can just do this. If bytes read is 0, no. Status code for incomplete requests. No found. Incomplete request. No, actually, that's 2 or -2. If bytes read is -1, that's basically closed connection. Let's check what read returns when it returns -1. Set to indicate the error. Okay, here are the errors. Yeah, I have no idea what all of these are. Unknown read error. I think that's the most descriptive. So here we've handled all the errors. Let's return HTTP parse OK. It's gonna be HTTP request. I'd like to do this. And here too. Let's do a debug print. Let's add a null terminator to raw status line. Yeah. Exactly, Copilot, exactly. Very nice. So now we can go here. HTTP request parse status. Out request. Yeah, we're not using it for now. We're still panicking. We need to remove this. Okay. What are we going to do? Let's do this. So accepted connection, but why didn't it not print anything? Maybe it failed? No, status. Actually no. Yeah, exactly. Read 14 bytes for status line. Why did it not print it though? We have bytes read as 0, which it is not. We have, oh, -1. Dude, what? What am I doing? Okay. Looks very good. No, we need to have a status line parser. Okay, so basically method name, path name, and HTTP version. We are probably gonna finish this and call it for for today. Let's see, I need to think about a good way of, maybe there's already a function for this. Copilot chat. Hello. Okay, it is taking its sweet time. Is there a function in C that can split a string by the delimiter and return an array of strings? No. Return one part at a time. Yeah, here I guess you would think that, you know, returning an array is good, but it's gonna, like, the implementation is gonna be too big because I don't think C has a function that does that. Okay, so basically stir TOK. Let's do a man. Maybe it's in man 2, it's not. Is it in 5? Nope. 4. Apropos. Oh, it's stir talk. I mistyped that. Standard C library. Extract tokens from string. Functions breaks a string into a sequence of 0 or more non-empty tokens. On the first call, the string to be parsed should be specified in string. In each subsequent call that should parse the name string, stir must be null. Oh, the same string. Okay. Does it store the pointer? Each call to stir TOK returns a pointer to a null terminated string containing the next token. This string does not include the delimiting byte. If no more tokens are found, returns null. Can you give an example of how to use this to parse an HTTP status line? Yeah. I love how Copilot is like auto-completing my prompt, which I'm gonna be sending to Copilot. But the tab completion doesn't work here, so I have to type it out. Oh, there's something that I didn't think about. Can we have like other strings here instead of HTTP? Like, what other options are there? Why does the HTTP status line have HTTP? Why not just the version? Maybe you can ask Claude about this. Are there other possible values than HTTP? So it's always going to be HTTP, I know that. I mean, we are not going to store it. I only care about the version. You can discard the HTTP part. We still need to validate it though. Come on, dude. Let's copy this. We don't need this anymore. Neither this. This is in string.h. Status line we already have. So basically a row status line. Raw, not row. Raw status line. It's gonna be a character pointer. Ooh. There's something I need to make sure about here. Where did I ask about strt TOK? Well, let's ask ChatGPT. Does expect the input string to be null terminated? Please no. Oh god. What if I want a function? Is there a C function which takes in a max length and ignores null terminators just in case the input string already has them as part of it? Functions that operate on memory blocks. Oh, interesting. So you have mem character and mem finds a subblock in a memory block. Haystack length. This one works on a single character. I think we only need a single character in our case. Let's look at the man page for memchar. What was it called? Memchar. It scans the initial n bytes of memory area pointed to by S. For the first instance of C, both C and the bytes of memory area pointed are interpreted as unsigned characters. This one is reverse. Okay, return value. Return a pointer to the matching byte or null if the character does not occur in the given memory area. But it assumes that an instance of C lies somewhere in the memory area. The behavior is undefined. Ooh. Okay. I see. Yeah, but we don't know for sure, so let's just use mem chr. Where were we? Memchar. What were the arguments again? Initial n bytes of memory. Okay, we need the first line. Okay. So that's gonna be bytes read. Raw status line. Let's just do this. Raw status line length. What next? Pointed to by S. Wait, it takes 4 arguments? Oh, it's only 3. What does it look like it takes 4? No, it's only 3. Void S. What is this part? What's size T part of the function documentation in the man page? S is a pointer to a buffer of size n. Okay. Character is going to be an empty whatever. So actually the length goes last. First thing is going to be raw status line. We don't need these anymore. Protocol. This will return a pointer to the white space, right? To the matching byte. Yeah. Malformed status line. Do we even have that? Yeah, I mean, let's add it. What does a request look like again? So we have the method first. Protocol minus the status line is the length. Yeah, that's correct. So path end. Let's call this protocol end. Mem character. So path start, which is protocol end plus 1. We have raw status line length minus method length minus 1. Right, yeah, because of the white space. Now we need another if. And then finally, oh yeah, the path lengths, of course. Then finally, version start, version length. 2 spaces, because now we're at the 3rd section. That is not what I want. To validate version. If version length is less than 5, actually let's do this. Let's do a mem compare. So we have version start. Like, couldn't this cause an overflow though? Can this cause an overread if version start length is less than 5? Okay, how do you fix this? Oh, that's why they added that first, I see. Makes sense. Malformed status line. Okay, now we're done. Parse method, parse path, and finally parse version. Now we need to actually populate these. So initially it's going to be the method we're going to allocate method length +1. That's correct. Path length, version length. And we just do mem copies and null terminate all of them basically. Actually, let's do this. And once we're done, yeah, I mean, maybe we could refactor this part because like we're doing it multiple times, like, you know, the mem character thing, you know, and then checking if it's null and then getting the length, doing the same thing here. It's kind of verbose. Let's add a to do. Oh no, redundant code, I guess. Maybe it's not a big deal. Redundant allocations, we're not doing any redundant allocations, so. And we're basically done, I think. Now we can do out request, path name, and version. And if everything works smoothly here, maybe we can test it out. Let's bring out our test code here. We don't need the buffer reader anymore. Let's keep this commented out. So now we do parse HTTP request. HTTP connection. We need to set this up. File descriptor. Wait, is it not there? Client port and IP. These we don't really care about. And here we pass a pointer. Use of undeclared identifier. Wait, why is it doing this? Oh, it's called out request. My bad. Let's go to main. Try to make. We did not panic. Oh, let's go. This is amazing. Now let's see what happens with malformed stuff. So method is completely empty. Maybe we need to check for that. Where's Claude? Can the method be empty? Or should the request be rejected if it is? Method cannot be empty. Okay, it should be one or more. Let's call this parse result. Let's go back. Let's do this. I think this should do it for now. And if we move the post, failed to parse. What if we do this? Same thing. What if we do this? This all works. Maybe we should split these into separate functions. So let's do this. Parse status line. This is going to be a private function. And it's basically going to do is do all of this. So now here we can go and do what was it called again? She request parse status. I don't think that exists anymore. Parse result. I didn't change this one. Let's go back. Say if status is not okay, we return status. Parse status line. Then we parse headers, which is a to-do. This all looks good. This does not look good. Is this a main? It is. Parse result. Where is it complaining now? Status. This is also result. Cool. Let me try one more thing. Just try this status line. Do I need to enforce a format, a specific format for the path name part? I think we do, but I just want to make sure. We probably need to. It's going to be complicated. We need to make sure that it's a valid path name of a URL. So we need to add some like sort of URL parsing, which is complicated. So I'm probably not gonna do that from like scratch. On which request target forms you want to support? Origin, absolute, authority, and asterisk. Common attacks via malformed paths. Yeah. Let's just do that. Someone is using a timber saw. I hope you can't hear the noise. So if path length is 0 or path start so validate, what is it called again? Validate version form path. Yeah. Do we need to validate the version here? I don't think so. I think that happens outside. Here we just parse.